Hi, I'm Nick Johnson. I'm a consultant here to lay some insight onto the Yellow Auto Company. Um, we essentially found a central problem in this case. We also found some secondary problems, some alternative solutions, a preferred solution, and then a plan for implementation and some questions we reviewed to outline our process throughout the consultancy project we had within the Yellow Auto Company. So we'll start with the central problem. Seems to be a clear communication of authority that is lost within the company. No one really knows what their role is as far as their authority. So CAN ultimately is the only authority within the company where managers should have that authority. CAN interjects a lot between the managers, so he needs to step back and let managers make that decision. Also, there's a lack of an organizational chart. This allows everybody within the company to see clearly whose role is which and at what level will it be achieved. So there also is a lack of documentation that clarifies unwritten rules. There's a lot of unwritten rules that need to be written that will establish a clear documentation path that will be able to identify clearly who can make a decision and when. And this documentation will obviously track better within the company and take a load off of CAN at the same time and allow him to do more management roles as far as being an owner of the company. There's also a secondary problem, so accountability of the sales team. There's personal time and company time. There's a lot of time that's lost, and there's not really a known time period when it's on company and when it's personal, so there needs to be a solution there. Education level of the sales team. There's a professionalism issue between the customer experience with the salesperson, so we need to establish a better system for that as well. Family is also given a management role within the company, which could establish some employee backlash and some just issues with management in general. Asley, the sister, was given a management role with that within a short period of time of being a secretary, coming from a degree that wasn't necessarily a direct relation to the auto industry, as her degree was in food engineering. Also, there's a lack of effective and efficient processes. Inventory systems are key to letting a business run effectively and flow. So in this situation, many parts are ordered that don't necessarily need to be ordered, and time's also lost in the process, creating more of a lag time for the customer who ultimately just wants to be satisfied in a short amount of time. There's a lack of a modern facility. A modern facility allows the employees and the customers to feel comfortable and engage with a longer experience. So the age of the facility and the lack of conditions and lack of facilities within create an issue that essentially will make the customer not want to stay as long and could cost a sale down the road or a service experience that would ultimately benefit the company financially. There's alternative solutions. So creating a hierarchy to let managers make decisions is a key component. This will allow managers to make decisions freely without a fear of backlash from CAN. Increase job descriptions to include a requirement for those who have more education and or experience. So this will cut down on the professionalism issues and increase the want to get better employees and ultimately help the bottom line as well by getting more customers. And evaluate managers and employees based on their performance on regular intervals. This is also a key thing because this will allow managers to be held to a high regard and employees to be held to a high regard. And if there's a bad performance review, how do we get to a good performance review, and how to reward good employees for their good performance based on possibly job enhancement, job promotion, or just a monetary reward. The preferred alternative solution we came up with was to evaluate managers' and employees' performance on an interval basis. This will hold managers and employees accountable for their performance by using corrective actions. So like I mentioned, how do we get to a good performance review? And then rewards for the positive experiences that we have with the good employees, and make those rewards team-based instead of individually based. And also creating a system to log time. So once employees are out of the office, how do we track time? So it's weekly, have them check in and let the sales team update on where they've been, how long they spent there, and then also logging into a management system ever so often to give updates as well. And also giving clear goals to managers and employees so that can actually evaluate them. That's key through this process and would be established by evaluating managers and employees' performance on a regular basis. Questions for review. These are just some things we talked about earlier that will allow us to explain the process we took. So the number one question we asked is, how do you evaluate the change efforts in terms of being transactional or transformational? As far as transactional, we need to allow managers the ability to manage within the guidelines set. CANSEL should give the authority to managers to allow the decision making, and managers should feel free to come to CAM and get input when necessary, but CAN should step back and let them make the decision at the end of the day. Transformational, they hired consultants and us to come in and put a focus into the changing of the workplace by creating surveys and a SWOT analysis. The transformational aspect is setting goals. So they set a goal to take 50% of the market share. That's a goal. And then also define the problems that exist so that those problems can be remedied. And that's also what we're trying to help with. Number 2, why might employees show almost no resistance to change in the company? Employees aren't going to show resistance because they're dissatisfied. Employees know at the end of the day also that their jobs could be at stake, because if the company goes and they lose support from Renault, then they essentially could lose their job. So CANSEL is very knowledgeable, but at the end of the day, they know that, but want to have the ability to make the decisions and have an impact on the company and feel the success within their role and develop their careers as well, which they don't feel they're able to do by having an autocratic leader in CANSEL. Number 3, what are the benefits of working with consultants as an external change agent? As a consultant, we provide a third-party recommendation. So it takes the bias out of the situation from within the company that might be from one department to another. It holds everyone accountable from CANSEL all the way down to the bottom employee, the brand new employee who just started. And also it creates a system to where we can find corrective actions and not have an internal conflict that might exist if this was done in-house. And we also provide a fresh set of eyes. So within the company, you get accustomed to things and not see it on a daily basis. But we come in as a non-interested party in the business, but an interested party in helping create a new change for the business instead. And we're able to do that with a fresh set of eyes. Number 4, consider the job satisfaction, the organizational culture, the leadership style surveys that were repeated at the end of the change process to assess the degree of change in employee attitudes. Did we expect to see significant change in employee attitudes, and why not? We don't expect to see a significant change within 3 months because we don't feel that's enough time to make the physical improvements to the buildings because of financial issues and that type of thing. But also we feel like it's just going to take some time to build the rapport with the employees, because it has to be developed procedurally. All the procedures have to be developed, implemented. Everyone needs to be trained on it. They need to understand it, and then there's also some modifications that may need to take place. And within 3 months, we can't really expect to see significant results, but we may see some slight results. And number 5, so assuming we're working with one of the consultants of the company to prepare a proposal that explains activities that should be done to change the process. 1, we feel like a change in hierarchy is key. establish a hierarchy and know who's responsible for what, and actually give authority to that person to make that decision. And then those people to work together as a team within that to set that goal, because everyone's held accountable within that section of the hierarchy. Develop a clear and concise job description. So we want to make sure that all jobs are clear in what the responsibilities are and what the rewards for those are if they're met. Develop a continuous improvement approach. We don't want to get to a point within the Yellow Auto Company where we've made improvements within this process with our consultancy group, and then we don't make improvements along the way, and we just let things slide back to the way they were. So continuous approach needs to be made for preventive maintenance within the company, for updates with the physical aspect of the company, evaluate the inventory processes as we go, and then also just continue to do surveys with customers to continually grow the company. Also, we need to evaluate and prioritize a risk. So when we're going through this process of trying to figure out what the problems are, within 3 months, we can't expect to see significant results. Some things will take longer, but all employees need to know that everything's being addressed. So when we look at the corrective actions, how far along are we? Are we making updates? When will we meet our goal? That all needs to be established and relayed back to employees and customers for that aspect as well. If we're doing physical improvements to the building, we need to do a good remodel of the company in a grand opening ceremony or some sort of thing to let the interests know that we're making those significant changes. And also, creating a team rather than an individual culture is probably the key aspect. A lot of performance within sales especially has been more individual based and it's competitive, whereas it needs to be competitive as a group to meet a certain goal versus an individual basis. And that's the recommendation we have for the Yellow Auto Company. I'm Nick Johnson, and I appreciate your time.